main session, and obviously Andy is representing Dell. He's our Vice President and General Manager of our mobility solutions from the commercial portfolio, so primarily the Latitude. And again, very happy to introduce the Latitude 5495 based on AMD's new Ryzen Pro mobile processor. So Andy, do you want to kick off just a few more minutes around
Sure.
I'll
just sort of talk a little bit about, in a little bit more depth on what I talked about earlier. There's no more slides or any other presentation, so jump in whenever you like with questions. I think a couple of key things. One is we've decided to base our entry into the commercial market with AMD on our core 5000 series product, or Y5000. Well, this is sort of the workhorse in most customers' enterprises. It's one of our biggest, selling series, the 5000, and it really represents the true knowledge worker in that space. And they care about the true commercial features more than anyone else. They care about things like keyboard. We were talking about it earlier. Believe it or not, every time we do studies, keyboards still come out as a critical tool in commercial. They care about time to productivity, and when I say time to productivity, they want an experience almost like their phone now of, hey, I press the button and I'm working, right? And that's about security features like, the fingerprint reader or the smart card, how quickly, or, with IR cameras and using Windows Hello, how quickly can I get my system back open and up and running? They really care about that stuff. They also care about runtime, battery. We have a 68 watt-hour battery in this system, so you can go a long time. 12 hours plus. Working on some configs much higher than that right now, but they care about that. They care about working all day and been productive all day. So, those are things that we've known for a while, and that's why we've, started here with a lot of those features like the IR camera, like full security with fingerprint readers, in this form factor that gives you a really comfortable keyboard, because the target market for this are people that are doing work all day, that are really doing, content creation all day. They're not what I talked about earlier, the on-the-go pro, someone who wants the smallest and lightest and, they're traveling all the time. The 5000 series is very much targeted to that knowledge worker. And so, we still think we have the best blend of keyboard, runtime, time to productivity, security features. But if you feel the weight of this, for what it is, it's really, really light. And that's another thing that our customers, really tell us that they value in the engineering we do on the weight. So that's the end user side. On the IT side, it's all about adopting it into their environment. So how do I deploy, hundreds, if not thousands of these? How do I use all of the existing tools like the Dell Client Command Suite for deployment? How do I ensure all my security stuff works? How do I integrate it into Microsoft SCCM and all of that stuff? So there's no difference, with our AMD portfolio here than there is with our Intel portfolio.
Except it's more powerful and has better battery life and all that other stuff, right?
Battery life is depending on what you buy.
Sure.
So there's always config differences here. So you have to go into those and have a look at.
You missed the opportunity to just say yes. All good.
So what's the pricing of these devices that are powered by AMD?
The list pricing is starting at $1248 list price. As you know, list is not a good representation these days. So the starting at street price is around $789.
And goes up to?
It goes up. Oh yeah.
To how much?
Oh, that's a great question. I have not got the highest config in my head, but we can get you that offline. I'll go configure one for you and see how much we can stuff in there.
That depends on processors and memory.
Yeah,
and
it's
SSD
processor, memory,
screen.
and then certain configs. We have a lot of configs, so you can still build this one to order. So we still have what we call build to order or BTO options. So you can configure it how you like.
And how does it compare with the competitors' processor?
Again, it all depends on what that combo is. I think that you get a great deal as you go up the stack.
So you mentioned that this product is just for optimizing for the code warrior. So you mean that the keyboard is the most important thing for the code warrior?
I think it's a number of things. It's never one thing, right? You know, it's like asking someone from a car, what's the one thing? Is it the engine, the transmission? But I think that corridor warrior, the reason why we're focused on that marketplace, they spend more time creating content, which means that keyboard, you know, screen size, you know, those are really, really important factors because they just spend a lot of time there. And you know, as you sort of get smaller and smaller and smaller, thinner and thinner and thinner, you have to make trade-offs on some of those things, right? Keyboard travel is a trade-off. You know, having lots of ports. So if you look, you still got VGA and other ports like that. Lots of ports because they're moving around the offices a lot. Those are important. So yeah, I think screen size, keyboard, and port layout are still, you know, the primarily thing. Those things that the corridor warrior cares about.
And what's the keyboard travel?
I don't know off the top of my head. It's a great question. We've got it somewhere.
It felt very smooth.
Yeah, it's very, very smooth. So same as our other 5000 series. So I just don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I'll find out for you. But they also the corridor warrior does care about time to productivity. You know, they are moving around a lot. You know, they're closing the lid. I mean, you know, you're closing the lid. You're carrying it around. Weight is also important, believe it or not, because you know when I look at just our teams internally, and you go to a meeting. And you're going up 2 flights of stairs, you know, you're holding a laptop, you're holding your phone, you're holding maybe a notebook, although less and less people use notebooks. They're sort of, you know, coffee, yeah, exactly. And so you know, the ability to just grab it in one hand and go is pretty critical. And size, you know, we're focused on size being these 2 dimensions and this dimension. You know, thinness does matter. But I always say no one actually walks around with their notebook at work like this all day. There's no use case where the thinnest is the most important. It's size. You know, if you are on a plane, you know, it's the footprint on the desk. If you are, you know, no one's offices are getting bigger, they're getting smaller, desks are getting smaller. So, you know, footprint on the desk is what's really important. And then the thing we're investing in just in Dell in general is all about thin bezels. You know, we've pioneered this in the industry, you know, making sure that we get as thin as we like so it's less distracting to the eye when you have these thinner bezels. And whether it's Latitude or XPS or even our precision brands, we've led the market in terms of, you know, that form factor.
And is this one of the new models with AMD as well?
No. We only have the one. Sorry, I was using this as my system, my personal system. No. So we only have the one model, the 5495, and that is shipping today. So if you phone a Dell sales rep, you can buy one, or you can buy 1,000 of those right now. You can buy 5,000. You can buy 5,495 of them if you want.
And will you be making a model with this particular form
We have
factor?
no other plans that we're announcing right now over and above that model. As soon as we do, we'll let everyone know.
And
but there's no plans today.
For enterprise, I mean, traditional hard disks are gone, right? It's all NVMe or SSD, or
We still have some spinning drives in some of our systems, but the attach rate is very, very low now. It's mainly a cost play. Some people still like them because of capacity,
well, yeah,
but
you
it's,
might have 2 drives in the one unit.
yeah,
if you can
but
take it.
it's predominantly, you know, more and more moving to SSDs, and a number of reasons. You know, one is storage is moving a lot more to the cloud. So the storage requirements for most people have reduced, and secondly, it's reliability. You know, I mean, anything that spins, you know, has a higher propensity to break, and so SSDs, and then the speed.
I was going to say the number
Yeah.
one thing of all that is
Yeah, so
responsiveness.
speed.
You're only going to get that instant
Yeah.
on with an SSD or an
Yes,
NVMe.
correctly. So speed and time to productivity is a key part. So we still do have them in certain models. The other thing is that, as you know, as you get smaller and smaller, then footprint and size of a spinning drive will actually just take that out of
You
the
got
equation.
MV and A.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure.
In commercial side, which skin size is more popular?
Sorry,
Which skin size is more popular for commercials?
which screen
Screen
size?
size.
Screen size.
That is all over the place. I think the sweet spot is really trending towards 13, 14 inch. If you look at the marketplace, you know, the 12-inch market is definitely shrinking. And especially now you can start to fit, you know, as you go thinner and thinner bezels, you know, we're fitting 13-inch in other parts of our portfolio. We're fitting 13-inch product screens into 12-inch chassis, and so if you look at the size of that is 30% smaller than the equivalent box 2 generations ago. So you've shrunk it down. But for, you know, most corridor warriors, most people that aren't on the go all the time, then we see the sweet spot as the 14-inch. That's absolutely what, you know, most of our customers buy is 14-inch. They go up to 15-inch if they use that real estate. I always joke, it's like the older you get, the bigger you want the screen, you know. So I'm sort of trending from a 12 to a 13 to a 14 to a 15. We don't do 17-inch latitudes, but yeah, 14 inches is the sweet spot today.
And what is your selection of the track point? The very old, you are the Latitude or the such kind of era using the track point, but in just 2 or 3 years, there are no track point product in your product
No what,
line,
sorry?
but this product has the track point.
Oh, track point.
Yeah,
Oh, in the middle.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a changing use case. Is we still have a lot of people that want the track. You know, there's still some, but less and less. I mean, as millennials come into the marketplace, you know, they're much more used to using, you know, the trackpad. And so we don't, and then as you get smaller and smaller, you know, we've taken the track point off a lot of our smaller products. So it starts at 14 and goes up on the 14 and the 15. You get down into some of our other models, like our 7000 systems, and we've taken that off the system as we've shrunk it down. You know, track point mouse, key position on the track point, it's a very personal thing, you know, and so some people tell me like, oh, I love, you know, whatever you do, don't move that. And then others are like, I don't even know why it's there. I've never used it, so it's a very, very personal decision. But as we survey more and more of our customers, less and less of them are asking for it.
I see.
Yeah. I've never used one, and I never, you know, and even when I've used these products myself, I've always used the trackpad. Not saying that it's wrong, it's just personal preference.
Okay.
Yeah. Trackpad is very important though. You know, size and having good key positions and having the ability to use the trackpad. And the reason why is you know, you still see people sometimes walk around the office with their USB-A mouse and put it in and want to use it on the side, and that for us is a detractor from the true reason that you have a mobile notebook, right? You want to be able to grab and go, and if you have to bring all these accessories with you every time, like an external mouse, that's not a good experience. So we're very committed to excellence in the trackpad. You know, we do have a lot of customers that have preference on where the keys are, up here or down here, and sometimes that's the reason also why they go to a bigger screen size, is because you've got more real estate on the palm rest to be able to, you know, provide those features. Other questions? There's got to be some.
Are there some specific verticals that you think you will find this very useful?
I think corridor warriors are in every vertical. And so this is not a vertical play. Unlike, say, a precision, which, you know, is very vertical dependent, oil and gas or engineering or video production. I think every vertical has a set of individuals that run the business. I sort of call it run the business people. They are creating, products, or they're in finance, or they're the marketing folks. They spend still a lot of time, in their premises, if they still have those, or at home. And so the vertical 5000, if you look at where we sell the 5000 series, it's not a vertical play at all. It's everywhere. Now, specifically on Ryzen Pro and the 5495, I see it as the same thing. We're not targeting one or two particular verticals with the product. It's the customers that either already want to buy AMD and now we have an offering, or it's those ones that really see the value proposition around that extreme performance in this form factor.
And what's your projection on how popular this model will be? Obviously, you've worked with AMD before, and you've got historical breakdown that you probably don't want to share on how many people choose AMD versus Intel. But of course, with the newest processors, newest devices, and the growing knowledge about how it has various advantages, what's your projection on how successful sales will be?
Well, I think it'll be successful. We're not going to comment on the specifics, unfortunately, as you know. But we're doing well in the market. We're gaining share. I think it's 22 consecutive quarters now, 21 consecutive quarters of share gain in what is a consolidating market. So I think we've shown that we can be successful, and I don't see us, not been successful with this product, but we don't sort of project that out at all. But
well, not publicly.
Yeah, not publicly. Yeah.
So what about, you said usually the worker goes home with the computer
Yeah.
and the gaming side. How are the thermals when you game?
Yeah, I mean this whole gaming at home, I'm sure people do it. I think we don't design for that, right? So we don't sit around our design premises saying, hey, how do we get a fantastic commercial laptop that someone can use at home playing Fortnite?
You've got Alienware for that, right?
We've got Alienware for pure, yeah, absolutely, and actually also Inspiron gaming, and so gaming is great. I think what we're saying is the graphic capabilities is now so good that you can game on it if you want to, and the fact that most of our users they are so mobile now, even at that screen size, is they can take them home, is really us saying, hey, the world is changing. It's the dividing line between a corporate notebook and a consumer notebook is blending, more and more and more. That's really prevalent in our higher end on-the-go Pro systems. So if you look at XPS as a brand, if you look at our 7000 series, that's where that blending is really happening. And I think that does happen even in the 5000 series, as people, their work life and their personal life intermingle all the time. We don't design it to be a gaming box, so if they want to game on it, it's got the performance that they can do it. I'm sure that a lot of employers wouldn't want to know that their employees are using it as a gaming machine. But again, most IT departments know that their users are using occasionally, these machines for personal use as well.
So is this the only model that has an AMD processor? Are you using them in other non-enterprise segments, and do we have to wait for the next refresh of Ryzen Pro to see it more widely deployed?
Yes, so we're using them in other areas. Obviously, we announced desktops last year. There are Inspiron, consumer products that have Ryzen in as well. This is our first ever Latitude with an AMD, so sort of a historic moment for both companies from that perspective. And again, that's testament to, we think that these are enterprise class processors now. They've got the right security, the right manageability, definitely got the performance. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done it. I mean, we protect our brand incredibly. I mean, Latitude stands for a huge amount to our customers. And the protection of that brand is critical for us. So this isn't a decision we took lightly, or just like, hey, let's see how it works out. This is we stand behind what we deliver in quality and in manageability and definitely in security. So there's other platforms that are out there, but this is the first commercial, true commercial one from a Latitude perspective.
And as you saw in McAfee's workstation overview. We also use AMD's discrete graphics cards in our workstations and have for many years.
Yeah.
So.
Any final things we should know?
I mean, the spec sheets you'll get.
Is it shipping in Australia or is it just the US?
It's shipping
Globally?
worldwide,
Worldwide.
global shipments, and that's important for our commercial customers. I mean, again, this is we had a question before about Vostro, our Vostro brand versus Latitude. Our customers want a common experience across the world. A lot of our customers in Latitude are everything from small, medium-sized corporations, but up to the Fortune 500. And so when they buy a config in the US, it needs to be the same in Australia, the same in China, the same in India, the same in the UK, France, Germany, Spain. It's common. They want commonality. They want to spend less time managing images, and they want to spend more time ensuring that their users get a great experience. The one thing I would say is what has happened over the last 5 years is this trend in IT departments to really start to measure their customer employee satisfaction with the devices that they're given. And we call that employee NPS, or Net Promoter Score, if you're aware of the term Net Promoter Score. Whereas if you track back 5, 6, 7 years, IT just got measured on cost, right? It was like, well, how cheap can I do it, and how do I make my life, the IT person, easier, right? That was it. That's no longer the case. I mean, most of the customers I speak to, and I speak to a hell of a lot of them, they will talk to me about how they, produce lots of surveys on the experience that their end users have with their machines. And that experience, covers lots of different dimensions. So that's the one thing that has changed is, we've always been very, very focused on this sort of ITDM and their manageability. But now reliability is hugely important. If someone's got a machine for 3 years, then they want to know that it's going to perform for 3 years. If they're given a machine, they want to know that it does have all of those feature sets, like a great keyboard, like Windows Hello for easy access, all of those sorts of things. So, that's why I think the job's so exciting now. At least my job is, the ability to have a discussion with IT that transcends just their job and into the true end user experience. And that's not just this. So when you think about docking, and you think about displays, and you think about that whole ecosystem, and we design all of those things together. So, our Type-C dock is tightly designed along with the notebooks so that you have the best experience when you dock, everything sort of works, and you have express charge in this, which allows you to, through that Type-C dock, to get 80% battery charge in an hour, which is really, really impressive. A lot of people, if you're working away for an hour on that huge presentation for your boss, your desk, the processor's cranking away, and then you grab the machine and you want to go to that, the boardroom to present your great work, and you plug in, and then all of a sudden the power dies. That's not a great experience. So we do actually spend a lot of time on the experience versus just the product itself, and then we do a huge amount of testing between dock displays, making sure that all of that stuff works together.
Is there a dock underneath, or is it just USB?
No. This is we moved away from mechanical docks. We only have Type-C docks available now.
And is it possible to? I know you've got I can see the power socket on the back, but can you charge via USB-C? And if so, can you use those USB-C PD power delivery charge banks?
You can charge this by USB-C.
Okay,
Yes.
so you can just have one
Yes.
cable,
Yeah.
and power bank charge.
Yeah, correct.
Cool.
I say that with real confidence, and now I'm going to have to triple check.
Well, I know a lot of
capabilities.
a lot of the
So
slim notebooks.
But
have
yes,
that, yeah.
yes, you can use both. But we will double check that, Steve, because I never want to say anything that's not 100% factually correct in a media interview. But yes, it's the charging will be through the USB dock.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you can charge via the
Yeah.
dock, you should be able to just plug in there
Correct.
into.
Yes.
And it just depends then on the strength of the wattage of your charging
Yes.
device or your power delivery.
Well, actually,
battery bank.
it's very dependent on the power delivery through the dock. So we have a 130 watt dock all the way up to 180 watt on the dock side, and that will give you,
Faster
better
charge,
charging faster.
Yeah, so to confirm, we have 3 USB 3.1 ports, Gen 1 with power share.
Yep, there you go.
Excellent.
And that will be in the spec sheet that you're gonna get in
Yeah.
AMD's press kit. That'll be posted online, all those speeds and feeds.
Excellent.
Great.
Thank
Hope
you
that
very
was
much.
useful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your time.